Hello, and welcome to a Volo's Monster episode of How to Play D&D, the Explainer podcast, where one experienced dungeon master and 1,000 good writers discuss D&D topics. My name is Kinsey, and I'm proud to say my guest for the entirety of this series is none other than Abby from Tabletop Curiosities. Hello, Abby.
Hello.
Hello. It doesn't matter how many hundreds of episodes I do, I will mess up the intro. So I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
That's fine. You'll get the same hello.
Every
time.
So just to recap, the Volo series is our way of celebrating the Marmite NPC of D&D. Some love him, some hate him, but either way, this boy drops some good monsters to use in your games. And you can catch more of these episodes every Tuesday for the next 20 weeks or so. And I'll say or so. Also, we are literally going from his Guide to Monsters and also Monsters Universe if you can't get hold of Guide to Monsters anymore, which I couldn't get hold of it. So just for FYI, if people want kind of a hard copy or online, that's how you get hold of the information we're kind of like referring to. What creature did you pick this week?
This week it is Elder Brains.
Let's get to it. Okay, so today's episode is on Elder Brains. It's old, it's brainy, it's an Elder Brain. They're all samey. Abby, I've been injecting myself with lobster blood to speed up the regrowth of my legs. Is this safe? What am I doing?
What happened to the legs in the first place?
Elder Brain got them. I didn't think about that. I didn't have an answer for it.
Then they're done. They're done. The Elder Brain's eaten them.
They're out.
Sorry.
Yeah. So I've got our regular questions for this, but thinking about it now, people will really know this creature compared to when this book came out, because obviously Baldur's Gate 3 has come out. People absolutely losing their shit. It's kind of like the game of the century for people in TTRPGs, unless you've played like Divinity, those kind of games. Elder Brain, you played Baldur's Gate?
Yeah, too many times, if I'm honest.
Yeah. and obviously the Elder Brain is such a big part of the lore of Baldur's Gate, right? And at least Baldur's Gate 3. And I guess if there's spoilers at this point, I mean, we literally covered Baldur's Gate 3 for 3 episodes like 2 years ago. So it's on you to be listening this far into the podcast.
Yeah, 100%.
Do you think this creature has probably had more playtime in D&D because of Baldur's Gate 3?
Yeah, I think so. I've noticed in a lot of like community games and just random one shots is popping up as the thing that is the main big bad. Not necessarily your classic big bad of like, that's who we're going to fight, but this is who's responsible for all the shit that we're having to deal with. The Emperor
in the background as it's all playing out. Yeah, I mean, that's how it is in Baldur's Gate 3, right? It's kind of like they pretty much have to tweak it heavily to make it work as a final boss in that game.
Yeah. So I think they handled it pretty well, because it is one of those things where it's like a static big blob of brain.
Yeah.
So I think, a fight with it is going to be a multi-leveled, like getting all the way through its minions and all the way through puzzles and that kind of thing. So
it's really hard. I mean, I know we'll get into the stats and whatnot and how to use it, but that's a good example there. What you said there about how they played it for combat, because it is a static creature, and I guess you can make it's up to you how you flavor it for your sessions. But they've done it really well, where you kind of know it is this thing that's it's a bit like the brain bug in Starship Troopers. If you ever watched that back in the day, it's just a creature that doesn't really move. It's huge, crazy intelligent, and is controlling everything else. So it's essentially the same thing, and it's literally a brain bug, and that's an Elder Brain. So it's I'm sure they referenced Starship Troopers from the 90s, not the other way around. But the combat in that is great, that it is as fluid as it can be for something that's not really moving. And it's really important in your combat to flavor it how you like. Don't feel like you just have to keep it static. We have that issue with Dragons and Beholders quite a lot, where we talk about it in the old Monster series about what creature don't you like this week, or you haven't, you've not enjoyed. It's often those two that come up because the DMs aren't using their abilities wisely or their movement speed. So it's important for something that's static to not necessarily keep it there just because it says it.
Yeah, definitely. And Baldur's Gate actually did it really well. Of the environment started changing.
Yeah,
Bits of the environment start falling away. There's so much you can do that don't just look at the stat block and think, oh, a bit stuck there. Like it's just going to be
yeah.
they're going to be hurling things at me. If you want it to move, let it move.
Yeah, and
You know?
I'm not sure about the if the Elder Brain has a lair action, but lair actions are such a great tool for people who aren't comfortable making things up, or especially on the spot, that they can go back to Volo's guide, look at what it does. If it has a lair action, incredible. If it doesn't, look for something in that guide. And we do this all the time with modules, if you look, or even just online through like the D&D wiki or whatever you're using. Look for something that is similar, makes the environment makes sense, and use that lair action.
Yeah, absolutely. Like the environment as the DM, it's yours.
Yeah,
You are the god of it, really. So,
yeah.
I mean, we'll get into the stats, I suppose, because we've got lair actions now
Yeah, yeah,
to
yeah.
talk about.
Okay, let's get into the stats.
Yeah, yeah. The Elder Brain does have a few actually, that Volo talks about. And it says that specifically as well. The lair is for your world. So if you've put
Right.
it in
Okay.
your world, make it make sense to the environment around you. These are kind of suggestions of what it would look like in its classic environment.
Mm,
But they work quite well. It's got a wall of force, which I think is a really nasty, clever little thing.
mm.
Because if it is static and you've got all the party are like, right, let's go, and they can get to it, big wall of force, that is literally going to leave them stood there for a couple of rounds, probably scratching
Yeah,
their
yeah.
head, like, oh God, we can't get it. It's not running away. We can't get it. I think that's a really funny one. That for the DM and the players slows it down for a minute and lets everybody get
Yeah, like
strategic.
strategize, like
Yeah, but without it being like a meta, we're just going to stop and speak above table now, you know?
yeah, yeah, yeah. I do try and keep in sessions in combat that like, essentially you can only have, I can't remember the exact amount, but there's only a certain amount of words in the ruling for like what you can say per turn. I 100% only allow that in my team just so they don't meta what they're doing next when it comes to their turn. Do you know what I mean? Outside that, do as
Yeah,
much as you want, but like when you can strategize before you jump on the creature. You don't need to be doing that. You wouldn't in real life. Do you know what I mean? If there was like
yeah.
some crazy thing dropped down in your city, you're not like, right, what do we do whilst the thing is like pummeling you? You're literally trying to like save yourself. So it's like it's important. And I think, yeah, the Elder Brain is really good at something that seems like it'd be an easy thing to take because it's slow, but actually it's got all of these things to kind of like mess with your head.
Yeah, absolutely. It's got all of your classic psionic stuff as
Yeah.
well as you would expect from this kind of thing. It always knows you're coming. So I think it's within 5 miles, it will know
Wow.
it's you're on the way. So again, like it's just waiting for that moment to go, right, that wall of force is coming up, boys. Let's
Yeah,
run round
yeah,
it.
yeah.
But
But
yeah, it's super intelligent. It knows you're on the way. So it would be pretty cool if you could manage to surprise it
yeah.
as a party, but pretty unlikely. So
Yeah, yeah. I've
that's
got
a good bit
ways.
of
I've
fun.
got way. If I'm a player and I know it, I've got ways. It's just a role of a, kind of like a history check, a religion check, whatever it requires. That kind of revolves around like the backstory of this Elder Brain being there. That's how I'd probably go about it as a player. Just as a little tip, there is like, then I would know the strategy of like, what else does this thing do? From what we've heard in hearsay or from my previous life or whatnot. Um,
That's
we,
definitely a player that has been a DM. That is
yeah,
because you know the DM is going to want to give you that lore that they've not managed to get
yes.
out yet, and they want to talk about it. That's very smart.
You've got to have. I mean, not because you're like metagaming, but like one, I just like being able to like think outside. I love thinking outside. I think that's what I love about D&D the most is thinking outside the box, thinking what no one else would think of, and hoping that I'm the first to think of that in that moment for that DM. But the DM like DMs often, if you've like combat should mostly. I mean, we talked about in the previous episode of Deep Scions, there can just be encounters, but if it's something that feels a bit amplified on purpose, it should be a puzzle, right? It's not just a hit for hit. So and usually a DM will have stuff already in advance for you to kind of figure out before you even got to the combat if it is a puzzle to allow you to kind of know the situation better, right? So it
Yeah.
makes sense to like take advantage of that if you're listening to this and want to fight an Elder Brain.
Yeah, just
But
make as many history checks as possible.
yeah, just keep asking for them. Don't ignore perception. It knows you're there for 5 miles. Perception's useless. All right.
Yeah.
So we skipped a question earlier, which was why did you pick the Elder Brain?
Probably Baldur's Gate,
Yeah,
really. Yeah, it's not something that got much attention before that, like we said. And it has been such a part of culture for the
yeah,
last couple of years. I feel like, yeah, it's just been something that everybody's reading about. Volo's guide has a real section dedicated to
right.
mind flayers, elder brains. You can look in there for a whole layout of like what a colony would look like,
Mm,
how the minions would protect the elder brain, where it would be sitting in that kind of dungeon. So yeah, I think looking in Volos with the context of being a Baldur's Gate fan, you can't ignore the Elder Brain.
yeah,
Definitely not.
I think it's really. I've actually had the opposite where I've heard of the Elder Brain before. I kind of understand the lore of like how it works as a hive mind, all these things. Then you see it in Baldur's Gate, and you're like, brilliant! I can really visualize it. I'm literally experiencing it. I'm combating it for the first time because I've not done it in D&D. In my experience now, whenever that kind of thing could make sense in a session, that's been the opposite, where people were afraid to use it because it's been done. Do you know what I mean? So I think it is a bit of a
Yeah,
bit like Volo, just the description we had at the beginning. It's a bit of a Marmite thing in the sense of like you've seen how it can be done well. Do we want to do that? They already know the creature, so they might know how to combat it. Do you know what I mean? So um,
true.
it's 50-50, but I do think it's a great creature that's kind of like a good BBG that maybe it's always like Strahd's, um, like Vecna, these kind of things that everyone knows in like the zeitgeist of D&D, even if you're just getting into it or haven't ever played. The Elder Brain not being a specific like character is a really good, powerful boss to be kind of like you said earlier, like the Emperor behind it all. It's still a really good choice.
Yeah, definitely because it's so intelligent as well. Gives you a lot to play with as a DM of that,
Mm.
they're the party really are working out the mind, literally.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
The big mind, the biggest mind you could possibly get.
yeah.
And it's why I like modules like Strahd, because there's an intelligent
Yes.
sort of mind behind everything that allows you as a DM to kind of put yourself into it as well and have a bit
Well,
of your own fun.
let's get on to that then. So, how does a DM use it in their session? If you were give an example to someone, how should they use it in their session?
So I'll do separately how should you and how I have, because
Yes, yeah,
they're
yeah.
definitely separate
Okay.
questions. Um, I think should we've kind of gone through of like find your vibe for your world that you're putting down. I do think these can always fit, as we were saying, they're intelligent. Are they intelligent of their own right, a straight up elder brain campaign? They're sending mind flayers out to you. You need to infiltrate the colony and take it down. Or you've got kind of that Baldur's Gate vibe again, where some evil people have actually taken over said elder
Mm,
brain, and there's like an additional conflict there that it's being used in a way that it shouldn't. I mean, they are evil creatures on
yeah,
their
yeah.
own. It's not like you're going to go and liberate an elder brain, but there could be more moral things to play with. And unlike in the Deep Scions episode that we talked about before, this is unlikely to be just a quick one-off
Yeah,
encounter.
yeah. It jumps on
It's
the
going to
boat. You're a
mean
bit
something.
like
Yeah, this one's probably going
boat
to mean
capsizes.
something. It definitely would. It
Yeah.
definitely would. Although weirdly, I've just seen it's got a swim speed
Oh,
more than it
really?
has on land. So it's got a 10-foot swim speed, 5 foot on land speed.
Very.
So
Do you know what?
actually,
I bet
sea
you.
theme.
I bet you that's because someone goes, right, if it's on land, it floats. I bet it doesn't do well in water. And they've gone, right, we need to like reef, we need to fix this bug like ASAP.
Tentacles kicking under the
Yeah,
water.
it's doing something. And like, I do what would be great if it had if it's some of its lair actions move with it, and if it is on water, then it starts to control everything in the surface it touches. Do you know what I mean? Within like a
Yeah,
radius, that'd be great to have different creatures under its control in the moment.
that's true. And that's actually a way that, yeah, if you wanted to move away from like, oh, we've been there, we've seen it, it's been an elder brain. Like actually, the more you look at these stats, the more you can find things that you're like, wait a minute, it can swim. Like
Yeah, it
it's
has the
there's a lot there.
its intelligence is so important because it's so easy. I mean, I can't remember the books, but they're quite famous for people to pick up. Of like you might be I don't know the name of it, but like it's like knowing the monster is intelligent. See it out if you were playing the monster, like how you would use it. They're not just like mindless creatures, right? They will
Yeah.
fight to survive. They won't just hit the first thing. They'll pick the thing that's doing the most damage and whatnot. I wish I knew the books. I'll put them in the link in the show notes when I remember what they're called. But the Elder Brain is a great example to not just be lazy with what you're doing. It is such an intelligent creature. There's so much to play with. It might not have that in the stat block you're looking at as to like how to think quick in the situation, but it's smart enough that when you're thinking about it, it's smarter than you. So definitely use whatever you thought of to
Yeah.
adapt. Like it's not
If you
worth
got
just
the
going.
idea, it will, for
Yeah, it
sure.
already had it. It had it 5 miles before you thought of it. So,
Yeah.
all right. So the last question then is, how did you use it in your sessions, or if you've played in it, played with it instead of DM'd it?
So I have played in a game that was very classic. Mind flayers were messing around. They'd killed a mayor. We needed to investigate the situation, and there was an elder brain at the end of it.
Okay.
Rather than fighting combat to combat, we bombed it
Right.
basically.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So there is a way to kind of cheese that kind of last combat if you didn't want it. But looking at these stats, I wish actually we had gone in toe to toe because there's a lot more there than just a squishy blob. Um, in my game that I DM, where my party are going through the layers of hells,
Yeah.
there is Corteso's Salon of Experience on the
Right.
second layer of hell. It is an Elder Brain NPC that has basically opened a salon where you can go and experience things in your brain. So they'll put on those little old school
The little
head
helmets, yeah,
yeah,
I know
hair
what you mean.
dryers.
The perm
That's it,
thingies.
yeah. And then you could like explore memories or visions, and basically like have momentary intelligence of a elder brain. So it
Wow.
gives
Okay.
you
Yeah.
the ability to kind of explore psychologically. And we did some like narrative stuff and found out a few little goops and gags
Yeah.
via the salon of experience.
Do you know what? The more you talked about your campaign, because obviously some of these creatures, like you use them in that. Sounds like that is a book to purchase, right, and to go through and play that campaign.
Yeah, so that campaign is Chains of Asmodeus,
Right.
which is 5e and 24 compatible, I believe.
Right.
If you're going through the hells at all, it just gives you such a good base. We've not
Yeah.
followed the campaign in terms of like saving souls in the
Yeah.
same way, but there's a great story there if anyone was interested. But for
Yeah.
me, it's just a perfect lift of like what would the hells look like. You've got some good maps in there, you've got great NPCs for just the general denizens to fill out 9 layers of the hells, because it
Yeah.
was
Yeah.
quite overwhelming to think, oh my god. And like my party are, they search everything, they speak to everyone,
Yeah.
so like you have to be on the ball in terms of having like this whole place fleshed out. And yeah, Chains of Asmodeus for the hells, really really good.
It sounds very fleshed out, and it sounds really good. The fact that if you've not come across an elder brain, for example, or some of the other creatures we've talked about that you said, oh, this was in here, like mind flayers in the past and whatnot. It's great that these creatures have popped up and that you're getting to see them in a different use, like from Wizards of the Coast themselves, rather than someone just flavoring it on Reddit.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. It's a nice way to get these things in. Like, we're not doing an Elder Brain campaign. I haven't got time to do
Yeah,
that
yeah.
sort of story hook, but it's a classic. It's a creature of the world that it's a nice little way to encounter it as an NPC as well.
Nice. Right then, so to lead us out of the episode, what does Volo say about the elder brain?
One mind flayer sees you, and they all see you. One mind, one nasty, paranoid mind. I can't hear you.
No,
There we
I
go.
said it's there we go. I'm keeping that in. Not that anyone here. I said he sounds paranoid himself there, or maybe it was the elder brain talking through him.
Yeah, true. Not in any of the other quotes does he talk like this as well, where it's like
Yeah,
yee.
yeah. It's like an alien. Like in Men in Black 1, where the bug man He like to takes over the human. He's just trying to communicate. It sounds a bit like that. I love it. All right, then. With that, thank you very much. Today's adventure is sadly coming to a close, but we're back again next week with a topic, when will it all end? And as always, thank you for tuning in. And if you'd like to join the D&D action, then please follow us on Instagram at HousePlayD&D, or check out the link in our bio to join our Discord server. And also check out Black Mark Clo on Instagram for cool D&D clothing. Abby, what is your name? Where can we find you?
I am Tabletop Curiosities. I make dice. You can find me on Instagram, TikTok, and Etsy.
And of course, all the links will be in our show notes. I've been Kinsey.
I've been Abby.
Good day.